Hi, I'm Andy and welcome to my channel about crypto. In today's video, I want to talk about IGOs, initial game offerings, what they are, how to participate with them, and why is it worth taking part in IGOs. Although I will be using Seedify Fund as an example for this video, you can also apply same principles to other launchpads because they're all relatively similar. So IGO, it's an initial game offering. It's a bit like ICO, initial coin offering, or IDO, initial DEX offering, as in it is essentially an opportunity to invest in a project, in this case a game, before it hits the market, before it hits decentralized or centralized exchanges. What does it mean is that you can invest in a token at the lowest possible price. So if we look at something like Blocktopia, which is a very successful recent IGO. If we look on CoinGecko, you can see that the all-time low here is 0.0075 of a dollar. But actually, if you participated in IGO for this particular token, you were able to buy it for 0.00025. So actually, you would already made 30x gains before it hit this all-time low listed here. Of course, not every token is as successful, but it's pretty much impossible not to make money on IGOs. In my experience, in the IGOs I participated in recently, even the worst performing one, So5 so far is giving me roughly 5x gain. And the most successful one, Blocktopia, at some point when it hit its all-time high last week, it was in fact close to or around 600 times gain. So, I mean, 600x gain on any amount is pretty amazing. Of course, if you can invest any larger amount, then it can be absolutely life-changing amount of money. But the important thing is that regardless if a particular IGO is hugely successful or just sort of normal, it will be always very healthy gain, sort of 10x, 20x or more. So in this video, we'll be looking at Seedify Fund, which is one of launchpads. It's focused purely on gaming projects. And also the reason why I like it, well, there are multiple reasons, is first of all, they are very active. It's one of the things you have to think about when choosing a launchpad. Seedify launches something like 4 or 5 games every month for the last few months. So basically, roughly once a week, I know there is new project coming in. So for example, in the upcoming few days, I know there will be 2 more games I can invest in. And there are many other ones that are coming soon. These are some of the completed launchpads. And as you can see, there were quite a few. So that's hugely important because it doesn't matter if you can buy a lot of launchpad tokens and potentially participate in IGOs if there are no IGOs happening, right? So it's extremely important how active that launchpad is. Second thing, there was a chart which I don't have to hand at the moment, but basically Seedify so far is the most successful gaming launchpad in terms of ROI of the projects it's releasing. So essentially you're getting on average biggest gains when investing in projects listed on Seedify. Of course, this is something that can change in the future. There will be new launchpads coming. Various projects may move to different platforms and so on, but so far they have very, very good track record. The slight downside, of course, is the price of the token. If we look at Seedify's price, it's around $10 at the moment. And to be able to have a guaranteed allocation in every IGO they are offering, you need 1,000 S-Fund tokens. So basically you have to invest almost $10,000. Now, I'm sure for many people this may not necessarily be possible, or you may not necessarily think that it's the most sensible thing to put $10,000 into this launchpad. But the important thing here is to, first of all, remember that it's just one of many launchpads, and whatever else I will cover in this video, you can then transfer that knowledge to any other launchpad you may want to invest in, and I will give you some examples in a minute. Also, the price of the token, of course, changes over time. If we look at the last 180 days for Seedify, well, there were times during the summer where you could easily buy it for around 50 cents. So basically having guaranteed allocation would be only around $500 worth of investment. In fact, it dipped at some point to around 30 cents. Even well into August, it was still below $1. I started talking about Seedify in early September when it already pumped quite a bit. But the price was still bouncing somewhere around $3, $2.90, $3.30, something around that range. That's the range when I was buying those tokens. That's the range when I was buying Seedify tokens. And well, so far, not only it's been a great return on that investment because these tokens are now worth over 3 times more, but also it allowed me to participate in various IGOs, and I'm making very good profits on those. Is it worth putting $10,000 in Seedify now, assuming that you have this money available? I don't know, it depends on your personal circumstances. I think Seedify can still easily double or even triple in price, but at the same time, there are other launchpads. I'm sure there will be plenty more other launchpads coming as well, so it's a bit hard to tell. But at the same time, well, couple of good launches, couple of good IGOs can potentially pay for that investment. If you look at something like Blocktopia, even if you invested at tier 2, so the lowest tier that gives you guaranteed allocation, and that would only allow you to invest around $20. In theory, if you could invest that $20 and then sell them at the peak, well, that $20 investment times 600, that would give you $12,000. So that would already pay for that initial investment in Seedify. It's not quite this simple. It's a bit of an oversimplification. I will explain it all in a minute. But this sort of shows that with some really good launches, you can make back that money you invest in a launchpad pretty quickly. What you may find helpful is that I wrote an article about various IGOs where I explained what IGO is. I compared a few different launchpads and so on. For me, the most important thing is that I'm massively bullish about crypto gaming. With things like Mark Zuckerberg doing his keynote about Facebook changing name to Meta and focus of the company on the metaverse, and mentioning of crypto and NFTs quite a few times, or articles like this one, where the boss of Electronic Arts, one of the biggest game publishers in the world, he said that, well, essentially NFTs and crypto gaming are the future. To be perfectly honest, he also did say that he's not 100% sure how it will exactly work in the future, but he certainly sees this as the next step of gaming. Overall, I don't think there's any doubt that crypto gaming and NFTs, that will all be hugely successful. And the way I see it, it will probably also do much better than many other projects during bear market, because of course, eventually prices of Bitcoin, Ether and everything else will dip. I don't think we'll have quite as big dip as we experienced after the bull run in 2017. I think as there's more and more utility coming to crypto, and also as it's becoming more mature and more popular, I think the dips will be slightly shallower, but it doesn't change the fact that there is a dip coming sooner or later, probably at some point late next year. But gaming is based on, or crypto gaming is based on utility. It's based on speculation as well, of course, but once the games actually start coming out, once people start playing them and they become more and more popular, that will hold the value of those tokens, at least in my opinion. So I think crypto gaming potentially will be less prone to market fluctuations that will impact the rest of crypto. At least that's how I see it. I, of course, may be wrong, no one knows for sure, but in my view, crypto gaming makes sense as a short-term investment because of speculation, and long-term because of utility. Hope this makes sense. So like I said, I'll focus on Seedify in this video, but there are plenty of other launchpads. You have Engine Starter, you have GameFi, TrustPad, and many others. Some of them launch various projects, others are focused purely on games. In this case, or for this video, I'm interested mainly in gaming focused launchpads, but there are plenty of other ones you can consider. And of course, there will be more coming out. And that's something important. If for whatever reason you cannot or you don't want to invest in, let's say, Seedify or any other launchpad I just mentioned, keep an eye on what new is coming out. Launchpads are generally good projects to invest in because they are needed. They have good utility. Of course, not every launchpad is going to be successful, but there is pretty good chance that a lot of them will. And if you can get into a launchpad early enough in terms of investment, well, like I showed you with Seedify, you could get Seedify tokens for 30 or 50 cents during the summer. So that's where you can make the biggest profits if you can get into a launchpad early, build up enough tokens to give you quite high tier in terms of investing in IGOs. And then of course you can make more money from the IGOs themselves. So how does it work with Seedify? Well, it's worth mentioning that how your eligibility for IGOs work may change over time, and most launchpads do change it over time. But at the moment with Seedify, you have 9 tiers, and I will link the article, this Medium article, in the description. Basically, depending on your investment, between 250 S Fund tokens and 100,000 S Fund tokens, you are either going to be in tier 1 or somewhere in between, all the way up to tier 9. And you can see here that there is something called pool weight. And basically what that is sort of your multiplier for the participation within the pool. So depending on how many people are interested in investing in a particular token, or how many addresses are on the list, and depending how many tokens or what the value of the tokens will be released, you can only put certain amount of money into each IGO, because otherwise, well, if everyone wanted to put as much as they want, then there would be millions and millions invested in every single IGO, right? Because everyone would like to make those amazing profits. So you never know until sort of a day before the IGO how much exactly you will be able to invest. The amounts are not huge. I will show you examples in a minute, but this gives you an indication of what chunk of the pool, what slice of the pie you will get. As you can see, tier 1, so the one where you need 250 S Fund tokens, is lottery based, but anything from tier 2 is guaranteed allocation. So you know that in every single IGO you will be able to participate. As long as you meet one more requirement, and that's something new, that's something Seedify introduced only a couple of weeks ago, and that's staking. So basically, if you go to Seedify website, you have the main launchpad, but also have staking farming page, and you have to either stake or farm your tokens in the liquidity pool to be able to participate in IGOs. It's not bad news though, because if you look at this article about staking and farming, you can stake for anything between 7 and 60 days. So you have 7, 14, 30 and 60 day periods for staking. So if you want flexibility, you can only lock your tokens for 7 days. You don't have to commit to any longer period of time. And of course, you also get some S Fund tokens as a reward for staking. So if you lock them for 7 days, or if you would lock them for 7 days, every 7 day period for a whole year, you would get 5% on, well, you would get more because of course you would get paid that percentage every 7 days, but you know what I mean. If you lock for 14 days, you will get 11%. 30 days give you 25%, and 60 days will give you 55%. So that's one way how you can increase the number of your Seedify tokens and potentially get into higher tiers. Of course, you will have to add some money on top of that to get to higher tiers, but essentially, if you're planning to hold S Fund token, which you have to do if you want to participate in IGOs, you have to do it anyway, right? This is essentially just free money, right? So you're hopefully making money by S Fund token appreciating over time as crypto gaming is becoming more and more popular. You're making money from staking or providing liquidity, and then you're making money in every IGO. So you actually have potentially 3 streams of income from one investment. So let's have a look at how individual IGOs actually work. If we go to Seedify's Telegram channel, there's an announcement channel which gives you essentially announcements about all upcoming IGOs. So what we have here is recent IGO Gaia Everworld that took place, I think, about a week ago or so. Here you can see all the tier allocations for tiers 1 to 9. So let's say that you have 1000 S-Fund tokens, you are tier 2, you can only invest $20, which may seem like, well, that's pointless. What's the point of even bothering with that? Well, it is, nothing is guaranteed, but it's almost guaranteed that this will probably do easily 10x, maybe 20x. So that will be already $200 or $400. But if it's an extremely successful launch like Blocktopia was, well, that $20 could potentially be $12,000. So from a very small investment and very small risk, you can potentially get really large benefit. So I think it's definitely worth participating even at those lower levels. And then of course, if you have the funds and if you can participate at one of the higher levels, well, that's where you can make some really serious amounts of money. But of course, you have to commit a lot of money to the launchpad. You have a whitelist here, which contains all the addresses that will be able to participate. As long as you have your tokens in your wallet and you stake them, your address will be on the whitelist. So you don't really have to worry about that, but you should check it just to make sure that it's definitely there. If not, you can ping the message to Seedify and say that there is an issue. You can see how many participants will take part in this particular launchpad. Of course, the more participants, the smaller the allocations. How big is the overall allocation? In this case, the whole pie is $300,000, which will be split between almost 2,500 people. And then, of course, based on tiers, you get bigger or smaller slice. You can see the price of the token at which you'll be buying it. And you also have something called vesting period. It varies for every project, so there's no particular rule here. But essentially what happens is that listing takes place, or IGO takes place on, let's say, 1st of November. Then listing is usually the day after. So you take part in the IGO, but you won't get all your tokens at the same time. At the moment the token is listed, you only get 25% of your allocation. And then in this case, another 25% will be automatically airdropped to your wallet once a month or after each month. Some IGOs only may release 10% initially, and then you get the rest, I don't know, maybe in 20 or 30% chunks later on. Some of them may do 50 and 50%. It varies depending on the project. So of course, on one hand, it kind of sucks because you cannot take out all the profits straight away. But at the same time, it's also protecting the project because people would otherwise just try to dump it as soon as possible, or most people would. So actually, I find that projects that release tokens in smaller chunks tend to do better. For example, Blocktopia did 10%, then 20% for each of the next 3 months, and then 30% in the last month. And so far, it's performing really well. So that's something worth taking into account. But essentially, if you participate in, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those IGOs every month, like you can on Seedify, then that's almost like a passive income. Essentially, from tiny investment, $20 or so each time, you have a few $100, or potentially even a few thousand if they are really successful projects, coming in for the next few months, each month, just in the next batch of released tokens. So like I said, it's not necessarily a bad thing, it's just something you have to be aware of, that you cannot sell as much tokens whenever you want. It is somehow restricted. And then you have your listing date, listing price, and there's phase 2. Basically phase 2 it's a first come first served sale of tokens, which happens if that whole 300,000 allocation doesn't sell out initially. Some people may not want to participate, some people may miss the window. The window is always a few hours long, so you don't have to worry about gas or anything like that. But of course, if you miss it, or if other people miss it, then those tokens go into phase 2. And then it's first come, first served, and they usually sell out within like a couple of minutes tops. What happens after the IGO? I will show you how an IGO works in practice in a minute, and it will be Gaia Everworld that I'll be buying in that video. So you will see exactly the steps of participating in an IGO, and it is really straightforward. But what happens afterward? So after an IGO, once the first and second phases are completed, there will be also information about the token, listing information. So you can see that this particular token will be released on Polygon network. So you have to make sure that you add that network to your MetaMask. And you have to make sure you have some Matic tokens or a fraction of a Matic token in your wallet, in a Polygon wallet, to be able to process any transactions if, let's say, you want to sell those tokens. The tokens will be deposited there whether you have any Matic or not. But if you then want to sell them, you need at least a tiny bit of Matic to be able to process that transaction. Luckily, Polygon or Binance Smart Chain, which are two main networks used by Seedify, they have tiny gas fees, so you don't have to worry with gas being like $100 or $200 per transaction, as it is often the case with Ethereum. But it's just something to be aware of. And basically all you need to do is just put those details in your MetaMask to add that token to the MetaMask, and then it will appear. If you don't do it, it will not be lost. Basically, it will not show up until you input those details. If you're not sure how to add another network to MetaMask, I will add it to the description so you can check out another video. So now let's go through the process of actually participating in an IGO. So I have my tokens in my wallet. I stake them. It's really straightforward. You go to the staking page, you connect your wallet, choose the duration and the amount you want to stake, and you approve it. That's it, your tokens are staked. So now I want to take part in IGO. You have to make sure that you have Telegram channel, well, Seedify's Telegram channel added, so you can see all those announcements and you know when exactly new IGO will take place. You know what's the tier allocation. You can double check the whitelist to make sure that your wallet address is actually on the whitelist, and then you have some other information. So this particular IGO is currently live. So I will go to S Fund, I will refresh the page. Here it will tell me at the moment this stake pool is live, this IGO is live, it's the first phase. It's also important that I know what tokens I need to use to purchase, in this case Gaia tokens. So on IGO's page on Seedify's page is, I think, always or almost always BUSD, which is stablecoin on Binance Smart Chain. But it may be something different depending which stake pool you are using. So you have to make sure that you have enough of those tokens. In this case, it's around $20 worth of BUSD to purchase your allowance of, well, in this case, Gaia coins. And I can also see upcoming pools here. So I know there will be another one coming in 2 days, and there are a few other ones coming up soon. I know that I'm whitelisted for this project, so I'll just connect my wallet, just MetaMask. It's important that you connect to a correct blockchain. In this case, it's Binance Smart Chain. If you're not sure how to connect or add different networks to your MetaMask, you can watch my video about PancakeSwap. I explained the process in that video, and I will link it to that video in the description. So I go to MetaMask, and actually my MetaMask is currently on ETH, well, Ethereum mainnet, so I'll switch to Smart Chain. And I can now connect it, and I can see my wallet address connected here. So I go to Gaia Everworld. I first have to approve the spend. Luckily, because it's on Binance Smart Chain, so you can see fees are almost nothing. It's on 18 cents. That's another very important thing. If that was on Ethereum blockchain, then you have to take gas fees into account. And if you're familiar with how much gas can cost in Ethereum, depending how busy the network is, it can it's definitely going to be tens of dollars, but often it can be hundreds of dollars. So in that case, it may just wipe out your potential profits from that investment if you're investing only very small amounts. But on Binance Smart Chain, it's really cheap. As you can see, I only approved the transaction. Now I have to actually buy the tokens. That's the maximum amount I can purchase, so I just confirm it. Again, gas fee is absolutely tiny. Confirm. And now I just wait for the transaction to execute. Because you have to be on a whitelist, transaction is confirmed. I don't have to rush with it. It's not like the price will suddenly go up or something like that. As long as I'm doing this within the window that's given here. So in this case, it's a 3-hour window, and it's usually about easily 2 or 3 hours. I know there is no rush because I know there are tokens. As you can see, there are still tokens available in the pool, and unsold tokens then go into phase 2, and basically that's first come first served, and they sell out within literally a couple of minutes tops. But in the phase 1, you can easily purchase them without any rush, without stress. If I try to buy tokens again, it will show me that actually I cannot buy anymore. If I try to buy it, it will just reject the transaction. So I just close my MetaMask, log out from my MetaMask, and that's it. I don't have to do anything else. The tokens don't appear immediately in my wallet. That's absolutely fine. That's normal. Don't worry if that happens. And then essentially once it's listed tomorrow at 11 o'clock, I can start trading it. So yeah, that's pretty much it. So as you can see, IGOs are not difficult to participate in. The only potential issue is having enough tokens, enough funds to be able to actually participate in a launchpad, having enough of those launchpad tokens. But once you do that, once you have that, the actual IGOs are really straightforward, and they're really a reliable way of making money in crypto. And like I said earlier, I think crypto gaming is the future. I'm far more excited and far more confident investing in various game-based projects rather than just other, let's say, DeFi or whatever other projects in traditional IDOs or ICOs. I hope you find this video useful. I hope it all makes sense. If you have any questions, please do let me know in the comments section. Also, if you have any suggestions for future videos, please do let me know. Otherwise, if you find this content helpful, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next time. Thank you for watching. Bye.